It's 9 p.m. Your child has been on that screen for 3 hours. You've asked them to stop 4 times. The 4th time it became a fight. You feel exhausted, guilty, and honestly a little scared about who they're becoming. Now imagine a different household, in Kyoto, Japan. Same age child. No battles. No negotiations. They set down the screen themselves and walk outside. Every single evening. The difference isn't punishment. It isn't stricter rules. It comes down to 2 words, and a 21-day routine so simple, most parents dismiss it. Stay with me because by the end of this video you'll have both. Here's what neuroscience has confirmed. A 2019 study out of the National Institutes of Health found that children who spend more than 2 hours a day on screens score significantly lower on thinking and language tests. Their brains are not broken, they're hooked. Dopamine, the same chemical triggered by sugar or gambling, fires every time a notification pings, every time a new video loads. The brain begins to treat stillness as discomfort. Silence becomes a threat. And the child, without knowing it, becomes chemically dependent on stimulation. And here's what most parents never realize. You fighting the screen isn't the problem. It's actually making it worse. Here's why. Every time you argue about screen time, you're adding emotional charge to the device. The screen is no longer just a screen. It becomes the thing that represents freedom, autonomy, power. Harvard child psychologist Dr. Stuart Ablon describes this as the resistance loop. The more a parent enforces, the more the child resists, and the more they crave the very thing being restricted. Western parenting has been handed one tool for this problem: limits and consequences. Japan for centuries has used something entirely different. Not a rule, a rhythm. The concept is called Shizen no rhythm, which translates loosely as the rhythm of nature. It doesn't come from a parenting book or a modern psychology framework. It comes from the ancient Japanese practice of Sotoyama, the idea that human beings are healthiest when their daily cycles are synchronized with the natural world around them. Sunrise, meals, movement, rest, all happening in a predictable, unhurried sequence. For centuries, Japanese families structured their children's days not around productivity or achievement, but around rhythm. And rhythm, as modern neuroscience now confirms, is the single most powerful regulator of the dopamine system. Rhythm is not routine. Routine is forced. Rhythm is natural. Here's the critical distinction most people miss. A routine is something you enforce. A rhythm is something the child's body comes to expect, and eventually to need. Think about how your own body wakes before your alarm if you sleep at the same time for 2 weeks. That's rhythm biology. In Japan, this isn't considered a parenting philosophy. It's considered basic child health, as fundamental as nutrition. Researcher Dr. Kazuo Magi, a neuroscientist at Sony Computer Science Laboratories in Tokyo, has written extensively on how predictable sensory cycles, particularly those involving natural light and physical activity, literally rewire the brain's relationship with boredom. When boredom stops feeling like a threat, the screen loses its power. Not through restriction, through replacement. So what does Shizen no rhythm actually look like in practice? Comes down to 3 elements, and each one takes less than 10 minutes a day. The first is called Soto Jikan, outside time. Every evening before or after dinner, the child goes outside. Not to exercise, not to achieve anything, just to exist in natural light and open space for a minimum of 10 minutes. Japanese researchers have found that evening sunlight exposure suppresses the dopamine peaks created by screen use, naturally lowering the craving before bedtime. The second is Shizuka nama, the quiet interval. This is a 5 to 10 minute period of deliberate silence in the household, after dinner before screens are allowed. No music, no TV, no conversation even, just silence. This practice resets the nervous system and trains the brain to tolerate stillness, the exact opposite of what screens condition children to feel. Does any of this remind you of how you were raised, or maybe how you wish you were? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. The third pillar is te no shigoto, which means work of the hands. This is any simple physical low-stakes task. Folding laundry, watering a plant, peeling vegetables alongside a parent. The hands-body connection activates the prefrontal cortex in a way that passive screen consumption deliberately bypasses. In Japan, this is not considered a chore. It is considered cognitive hygiene. Now here's the uncomfortable part. And I want you to stay with me through this because it's the thing most parenting channels will never say out loud. The reason your child is screen addicted is not entirely their fault. It's not entirely your fault either. But the research is very clear on this. When a child has no predictable rhythm, when mealtimes shift, bedtimes are inconsistent, and evenings are unstructured, the brain does exactly what it's designed to do. It seeks the most reliable source of stimulation available. And in the modern home, that source is always the screen. We didn't design our homes around rhythm. We designed them around convenience. And our children's nervous systems are paying the price. In attention, in sleep, in emotional regulation, and in their capacity for joy that doesn't require a device to deliver it. So the real question isn't how do you take the screen away? The real question is, what do you replace it with so the child doesn't even notice it's gone? That's exactly what the 21-day Shizen no rhythm framework is built around. Not rules, not punishment, just 3 small rituals stacked in the same order every evening for 3 weeks. That's the threshold 21 days that neuroscientists identify as the minimum required for a behavioral pattern to shift from conscious effort to automatic habit. By day 7, most children show reduced resistance. By day 14, they begin to initiate the ritual themselves. By day 21, the rhythm is theirs, not yours. Here's how to implement it starting tonight. Week 1. Introduce just 1 pillar Soto Jikan. 10 minutes outside after dinner, every night, no exceptions. Don't explain it. Don't make it a lesson. Just do it with them. Walk alongside them. Week 2. Add Shizuka nama. 5 minutes of quiet before the evening begins. Again, no explanation needed. You don't need their buy-in. You need your consistency. Week 3. Introduce te no Shigoto, 1 small, hands-on task together. By the end of week 3, all 3 pillars are in place. The rhythm exists. And the screen for the first time is simply no longer the loudest thing in the room. Japanese parents don't wage war on screens because they understand something that takes Western culture decades to accept. You cannot fight a child's nervous system into submission. But you can slowly, gently replace chaos with rhythm and let the nervous system do the rest. The ancient wisdom isn't complicated. It never was. Just consistent. And consistency, as every parent already knows, is the hardest and most important thing we can offer a child. If this gave you something to think about, share it with another parent who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because every week we explore how the world's best cultures raise calm, intelligent, self-directed kids. I'll see you in the next one.